A key battle in the Premier League's top 4 race takes place in North London on Sunday afternoon as Spurs host local rivals West Ham for the London Derby. Tottenham ran out 2-0 winners over Brighton and Hove Albion midweek, while West Ham oversaw one of the most famous European nights in our history. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. I'm Anton. I am joined by Matt and Tommy. Tommy, mate, we had a brief chat before we came on. Tell me your feelings, mate, on the back of that famous win the other night.
Just an unbelievable feeling. I had my son over to my place. He's a West Ham fan as well. Sat down watching it and just non-stop. I'm surprised I still have a voice, to be honest. I mean, you're just non-stop kind of shouting at the players and at the ref and the linesmen and everything, just for every little thing, and telling players what to do with the ball, and it's just this non-stop intensity for 120 minutes. And it was just the atmosphere didn't come across massively on the telly, but from people like Matt who were there, we've been told it was incredible. But the game itself, I mean, just couldn't have gone any better for us. Really, it was just. I thought, considering our lack of experience in European football, and particularly over two-legged football, I thought the players managed the game absolutely brilliantly. They didn't come out gung-ho and leave themselves vulnerable at the back. I thought the way they played the game, they looked like seasoned campaigners in Europe, in two-legged ties. I was so impressed with the way they played.
Good way of putting it, actually, yeah.
Yeah, and the game management I thought was incredible by them. Absolutely deserved. We really did completely outplay them on the night, and the 2-0 win did not flatter us in any way whatsoever. And the way it was done too, going to extra time and then for Yarmo to come on and do it again.
Yeah.
Score the second goal that put us through to the quarterfinals. I mean, it was just the stuff of dreams, really, isn't it? I mean,
it really is.
It's a night, that I don't think any of us will ever forget that game as long as we live. It was just, and this is what it's all about. This is why we always dreamed of being able to follow West Ham in Europe for nights like that, and it was just incredible. I just loved every minute of it.
It really was.
And if you don't mind me saying, Anton,
go for it.
In our preview show, I did say we'd win it 2-0.
You did, mate. You did. You absolutely did. Nail on the head, mate. Nail on the head. Before we do move on, there is someone in the chat, and I want to give a big, massive shout out to this geezer. Where is he? There he is. There, watching in the bath. DJ Russie B.
Russie.
Now, if you didn't know, the man himself walked 17 miles today with John Ratomski and David Sullivan Jr., all for the cause of Iron supporting food banks, the Easter egg appeal. Look at the state of the three of them at the end of that walk. Here's a little cheeky video that DJ Russie B took himself, that he was welcomed back at the famous statue at the Boleyn, just down the road from Upton Park. And here's a cheeky video. So there you go, everyone. I mean, what an achievement today. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and I want you to all, if you can, dig deep, donate anything you possibly can. That will help out anyone in the Newham area, and that's the whole point of it. 17 miles is no mean feat when you're out there walking and stomping the streets of East London. So fair play to you, Russie boy, mate, and congratulations for doing the walk as well.
Yeah, his legs are going to feel that in the morning.
They certainly are. They absolutely. Matt, you were at the game, mate. I mean, just give us your brief thoughts on the atmosphere, mate.
I was lost. Generally, after game, was like lost words. My voice was hoarse. I was like mentally and emotionally drained afterwards. I said, "It is. I think it's the best atmosphere I've ever been to." And I think Antonio said himself, even for him, that was the best atmosphere since the last game at the Berlin. So it tells you everyone pulled together. That I've never seen a stadium like it. I've never experienced an atmosphere, even on public transport getting there beforehand. It was just you knew it was different. It just felt different from the outset. Like once I got outside the ground, like you just knew we weren't going to lose. Like you knew we was going to win. Like there's just something in the air. Like it was like, no, we will win tonight. We'll get the job done.
Yeah.
I told you, Anton, in our preview show. Yeah, I told you in the preview show, Anton, that our boys were going to be up for this and they were going to put in a performance and get it done.
Yeah, you did, mate. You did, and I think there was there was that kind of sense of camaraderie. Like everyone was kind of pointing in the right direction. The trajectory, the feelings, the vibe, everything was feeling right on the lead up to that game. And I know we were feeling confident. And then I remember on the day in particular, I think we were on the preview, and then on the day itself, I started to get a little bit nervous, but nothing too major. But I was starting to feel a bit nervous, and was in the pub watching the game, and it was just a phenomenal result, turning over the kings of the competition. But that takes us nicely, I suppose you could say, back into the Premier League as we face Spurs, Tommy, on Sunday tomorrow.
Yeah, but before we get into Tottenham, do you know what? I saw something very interesting there. I think it was maybe yesterday I saw it, that some of the Sevilla fans, or at least one of them, said that they felt like the atmosphere at London Stadium was even better than the atmosphere that they encountered when they played Galatasaray away.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, though. Like, we can always, we said it in the preview, we said it all the time when we speak about West Ham fans, especially at the Bowl, at London Stadium, that, when that stadium gets rocking, the voices get going, the singing gets chanting, and there's a regular chanting, you can actually hear the sound travels well in the stadium. The stadium's got its faults, of course it does. We're not stupid, but the sound really does travel, and it can be electrifying. And fair play. I think the goal for West Ham came at the right time, which then pushed the fans on again, and gave us that kind of that boost. And thinking back to, and we'll talk about it as we go through the Areola save. I mean, how important was that save? I mean, it was a phenomenal world class save. Actually, no ifs or buts about it. Really, was it?
That was an unbelievable save, and at a crucial time. It was early in the game. Still at 0-0. Had they gone 1-0 up at that point, then who knows what might have happened. We may well be disappointed now. So that save was absolutely vital, and as you say, it was a genuinely world-class save.
Yeah,
I mean, not just to get a hand to it, but to be able to actually palm it away from the goal as well.
Yeah.
He could have easily just dropped it down in front of him, and someone follows up and knocks it in the back of the net. But he actually managed to not only save it brilliantly, but push it away to the side, away from goal, where Johnson was able to clear. But just an unbelievable save, and without that save, who knows what we're.
Exactly. You're right, mate. Happens. It was, and it really is world class. Can't even, if no one has seen it, go back and check the highlights if you can. Like, unbelievable save from Areola. But listen, we're back in Premier League duty, and the race for the top four is heating up, but it's consistently chopping and changing, as you wouldn't believe. So we'll get into it in a second. Let's go and talk Spurs. I mean, not that long ago, lads, right? Not that long ago, did West Ham have like teams with 4 games in hand, sometimes some teams 3 games in hand. Now I'm looking at the league, and suddenly Wolves have gone ahead of West Ham. West Ham have now got a game in hand on Wolves. They're 2 points behind us. Spurs have only got a game in hand on us. We're equal in games with Man United, and Arsenal have only got 1 game in hand, albeit, yes, they're 6 points ahead, but tomorrow's game could be a big change. And the race for the top 4, top 5, top 6, whatever you want to call it, top 7 is definitely heating up. Matt, Spurs though, mate. I mean, talk to me. The crazy season for them, really, hasn't it been?
Bad start to the season. I'll try to put my neutral hat on, take the West Ham hat off. Even I didn't understand why they brought in Nuno. Like, I've always said over the last couple of years, Tottenham have built a team that's very attacking based. They've got like 3 or 4 world-class players in their team that are all attacking players, and the goalkeeper. They can't defend. They're not good at shutting out. And they brought in Mourinho tried to come in and fix it. If Mourinho can't fix your defence, then you shouldn't be like Nuno didn't have a chance. They didn't start well. He eventually went. I think it wasn't long after we beat them that he went. Brought Conte in, and I mean this has just been. I don't even. The only word you could describe it is Spursy. Like.
Yeah.
In the nicest way possible, he is, without a shadow of a doubt, a world-class bona fide winner. There's no doubt about it. Like, he is, if you want trophy, if you're a big team, and I'm even darting towards like a Man United here, if you're a big team that's got world-class players and you've got money to spend and you're not winning trophies, that's the man you want. Give him the money, give him the project, he will get you it. The issue is they didn't give him a lot of money. He's come in, he's tinkered formations, and you can see like the passion that he has in his outbursts in some of his results. You know, like I don't think even he understands like what can go on, because one week they go and win, was it 3-2 at the Etihad? Yeah. You know, Man City equalised in the 91st, 92nd minute, and then the 96th minute, Harry Kane went down the other end and scored and won the game. And then the next week they got turned over by Burnley. Like, their form at the moment is generally, like I said, the definition of Spursy. Their form, they cannot get any sort of run going. Like you said, at one point they're 4 games on us. Since then, they basically won a game, lost a game, won a game, lost a game.
Yeah.
You know, even up to the point where they played Brighton the other night and won 2-0, and that was their game to win. You know, so maybe they can try and up their game, their form for the game tomorrow. I mean, they did play Thursday, but they didn't play. Well, they might play Wednesday, sorry. But they didn't play 120 minutes. They obviously go play 90 odd minutes. They did spend money in January, right near the end of the window. Bentancur and Kulusevski, both from Juventus, centre mid and a winger. Both still adjusting to the league. Bentancur's probably going to take longer. Had a couple of injuries since he come into the team.
Yeah.
Kulusevski has games as well, has games he fades out.
I think the thing is, you know, they've got their main talisman, Harry Kane up top. You know, started off the season.
And he's starting to perform again.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, he's been a bit hit or miss for most of the season. But now, like you said, he's hitting form. He's got 12 goals. And most of them have come.
They've all come since probably Christmas, December.
Yeah.
He really struggled at the start of the season. Obviously, the whole Man City thing definitely had an effect on him. The whole Man City transfer saga. He started finding the goals, but they're still struggling. I'll say Son really isn't working in this system. I don't know why. I mean, Conte's even alluded to it and said that I'm not going to drop him out. I can't, like, he's too good to be dropped. But, you know, I mean, you wouldn't want to drop him because I think they've now, is it 37 or 38 goals combined, scored and assisted Kane and Son, which is now a Premier League record. You know, no combination of players have scored and assisted more with each other than Kane and Son. But he settled, I suppose you could say he settled on 5 at the back. It's a 5-2-3, 3-4-3 that we sometimes play. But you can get at them.
Yep, you can.
Their defence isn't a lot. You know, they've got Doherty at the right back, or right wing back, who's not the fastest, although he's starting to come into Conte's system. Reguilon, another right back, who they only bought in the summer, but apparently could be on his way already. He just can't defend. Sorry, not Reguilon. Reguilon's doing well. I meant Emerson Royale.
Yeah, Royale.
Could already be on his way in the summer. He's not fitted the system. He can't defend. Reguilon has done quite well. He seems to suit the system. Rumours already, though, that he could be going back to Spain. I think Barcelona or Real Madrid have a buy option on him for about 40 million. So there's already rumours that he can go. And with Levy, if they can make profit on him, Levy will probably sell him. But the back, Ben Davies is trying to play the Creswell role with the back three. Not particularly quick anymore. Dyer is Dyer. Like Eric Dyer, average guy, doesn't play particularly well. And Romero, who I like, did we see him as well, or did we miss him? We come from Atalanta, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And I think what
That's what I've got. My paper's empty now.
he's gone stattle mad there, Tommy. Listen, at the end of the day, the thing that's not added to Tottenham's flavour this season is the fact that when Conte talks, he talks differently. He talks extremely deflated, and you can see that in Spurs' performances. And there's absolutely, that's got to have a negative impact, because some of the interviews I've heard from Antonio Conte in press conferences after games, you literally are like, Matt, you've sent messages to us in the group and you've gone, he's about to walk, or he's about to get sacked.
I can only assume that he was promised money, probably the same way Mourinho was promised money. Tottenham don't have money. If you
Sorry,
ask
Mark,
anyone that's
I want us to make Conte cry. He was close the other week.
As I said to you when we first mentioned his name for Man United, he is a bit like Mourinho. He can take in a team, and if you notice, a lot of players left Tottenham in January. Like, they really depleted their squad. I think they only brought 2 in, but I think about 7 or 8 players went out, because he's trying to overhaul that squad. But if you're going to overhaul a squad and you're going to get rid of that many players, you need the money in to buy them players. And the only tangible asset they've got to raise that money would be Kane. But then you sell Kane, how do you replace him? He needs money, and I think he's just pulling his hair out, because he sets up one way, he plays one way. And it's a bit like watching West Ham. You never know what team's going to turn up. Tottenham can turn up to a game, and like that first half against Leeds the other night, when I think they were 3-0 up. Everton, sorry. They were 3-0 up at half time, and they weren't even out of second gear. It could have been 6 or 7. And then they had the game against Burnley where they turned up, having just beaten Manchester City. I don't think they had a shot target in the second half. Struggled to break Burnley down, and were poor at the back and got penalised for it. And this isn't what Conte's used to. Conte's thing is, I'm going to drill this into you. You're going to play this way. We're going to play this way every game. And if we play this way every game, we will win and we will succeed. Whereas he's sitting there like, why are you doing this one game? And then why are you doing this the next game? Why are you not doing the same thing both games? And he doesn't have the players to change it, because he hasn't been given the money that he wants.
Yeah,
there is generally a real possibility that he could walk out of Tottenham in the summer. Apparently there is a rumour in his contract that if he's allowed to walk if he wants.
Well, hold on a minute. No, I mean, on this, Tommy, what do you think from what Matt said? The whole Spurs situation, the whole Conte situation.
Yeah, Conte never seems like he's happy with what's going on there. Like I say, 1 week away at City, he's jumping around like a crazy person at full time because they've had a great result, and then, like Matt said, he's just pulling his hair out because they've just been done 1-0 by Burnley, and they cannot string 2 wins together. They're win-loss, 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 and so they're kind of stagnating in the table, and are not able to move up to where he no doubt wants them to be, which is where Arsenal are right now in 4th. He would have felt with those games in hand that they should be up around where Arsenal are right now. Yeah. And I think he does cut a very, very frustrated figure, which is great to see. I don't know why nobody told him when he decided to take the Spurs job that they're very Spursy. No one explained Spursy to him, obviously. And now he's finding out the hard way what Spursy is.
Yeah.
And he probably feels like there's little to nothing he can do about it, because he's not got any money to really improve that first 11 or squad to the point where he can really make a difference next season to what's happening this season. I mean, I don't see how Spurs are going to be any better next season than they are right now. He's just not going to be able to get the players in.
Yeah, it's
So
valid point.
it wouldn't surprise me if he just throws his hat at it in the summer and just says, look, it's pointless me being here next season because I'm just not going to be able to improve on the way things are right now because I can't get any players.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what he was told by Levy before he signed as regards transfer budgets and all that, but he doesn't seem happy to me. He does not look like someone who really wants to be there, if I'm honest.
I mean, here's some stats for you, or Opta stats, and we could let's do the comparison between the two clubs. Tottenham have played 28 to West Ham's 29. They've won 15 to West Ham's 14. They've lost 10 to West Ham's 9. They have scored 44 goals, and we've outscored them with 48. They've conceded 35, and we have conceded 36. They have 11 clean sheets, and we have 7 clean sheets. Harry Kane has scored 8 goals in his 6 home league games for Tottenham against West Ham. It's the most home goals he's scored against a specific opponent in the competition. But West Ham's Mikel Antonio scored more Premier League goals against Tottenham than he has versus any other opponent in the competition, which is 6. 3 of his 6 strikes against them being the winning goal in 1-0 victories, including the reverse fixture this season. And while we're at it, let's go and take a look and see what happened last time we played each other. I mean, reading some of those stats to you lads, then Tommy, what do you think from that? You know, and how Conte and Spurs are starting to kick into a little bit of form as of late, but like you said, they can't kind of get that consistency, which is what West Ham have been producing over the last couple of years.
Yeah, the stats not too dissimilar, so it's no surprise that we're as close as we are to each other in the table. Really, there really isn't much between us. But yeah, their big problem is consistency. They just haven't been able to find any whatsoever. And the good thing for us is that they won during the week, so they're due a loss tomorrow. So hopefully, it's like Matt alluded to it earlier. You just have no idea what Tottenham will turn up.
No.
Sometimes they can look like a really, really good side, and very difficult to play against and beat. They look kind of irresistible at times when they're at their very best. But then there are other times where they look completely just disjointed and clueless, and they look like a mid-table team. And so you never quite know. And they can be both in the same game. It's not even like necessarily from game to game. They can have a really great half and then be really poor in the next half, or vice versa. So you just never really know they're like a lucky bag. You just never know what you're going to get.
And I think that's the thing, though, Matt. What we need to do is really, we can't underestimate what quality they have in the likes of Son, because we've seen what he can do against West Ham, but we can see what he can do consistently week in and week out. And like you said, it doesn't seem to be working in the current setup, but we should never underestimate that. Moyes will be going into this game tomorrow saying, listen, these are the biggest threats. Kane's got 12 goals. Son's got 5 goals. However, Son's more than capable of stepping up for the last 10 games for Tottenham and getting them, those extra points that they need to push themselves further up in the league. Another player that's not been playing as much, but has got utter quality in him, and is Mora. He's coming off the bench, and that shows you that they do. As much as we sit here and say, it's been an inconsistent season for them, they do have quality where quality matters, and players that can change games. What do you think, Matt?
They've got players that can change games in the positions that matter. To an extent, I mean, look, they're still struggling to find a backup for Kane. But the problem is, it would be exactly that. While you've already got Kane there, Kane is so good that you're not going to drop him. It's not like, he's not scored for 3 games, you're going to put the other centre forward in. So no one want to go there for him. But for the 2 wide guys, they've now got 4 technically good, very quick wingers. At the moment it's Son and Kulusevski starting. but you've still got Bergwijn and Mora who are
Yeah.
contributing when needed. You know, I think back at just after Christmas, Bergwijn went for a spell of about 3 or 4 games in a row where he was getting goals. Remember the game against Leicester, where Leicester were literally winning in injury time, and then Bergwijn scored twice in about 50 seconds to win Tottenham the game. So they do have options. They do have quality. They're not riddled with injuries right now. They've got a couple of injuries, but not many. They've got more injuries in defenders than attackers, and they're overloaded with attackers.
Yeah.
I know I said they're inconsistent, but, you know, like you said, it would be your own downfall to underestimate this Tottenham side.
Yeah.
When, like Tommy said, when they get going, when they click, they can be unstoppable. This Tottenham team. That Everton game was 5-0 after like 55 minutes, and then they just took their foot off the gas and just cruised. Like, oh, we don't need to try anymore now. And they only probably played about half of that in like their highest gear. Like, I was watching some of that game, and right at the start of the game, they were like, I think for about 10 minutes, Everton pressed high and Tottenham made mistakes at the back, and they were a bit under pressure. First goal came in, and then they were cutting them open like a knife through butter at times. It wasn't even hard. It was just 3 passes they were in.
Yeah.
But
listen, though,
fair,
I mean,
Everton are a shambles, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, listen, the question I want to ask is, though, if you're Antonio Conte and you're looking at West Ham, you know, coming off of the victory we had in the week, you know, looking at West Ham also and thinking, shit, look at the consistent, you know, the inconsistencies in Tottenham from top to bottom are extremely clear as mud. Like, it's so clear to see the problems they've got. You know, everyone knows when Daniel Levy, things aren't going right, Daniel Levy will bite the bullet. He'll get rid of the manager. He'll bring someone else in. He'll lead Kane up a random door path and then break his heart and tell him he can't leave the club again. He'll throw money at certain players, but not get the right ones and think it's, you know, it's kind of the similarities are that during the era when we had Pellegrini, it was like, there's the money, just go get the players, bring them in, but they might not fit the system. Let's try and get the big manager, maybe Pellegrini. It's a big comparison, but I'm just using the circumstances for the similarities. So if you're Antonio Conte and you're looking at West Ham, what are you saying to the Spurs players in prep for the game tomorrow? And this one's to you, Tommy.
Geez, I don't know. I think I'm not sure there's much he can say. I mean, he's just going to have to do his job like he does for every other game, and ultimately, you know, he'll have his tactics. He'll have obviously looked at West Ham. He'll be working on a training ground at how they want to approach this game from a tactical standpoint, and he'll be looking at his formation and his personnel he wants to use. But a manager can only do so much. You know, ultimately, once those players cross the white line, they've got to do their jobs. I mean, let's be honest, they're being paid rather a lot of money to do that job, and they're doing their job in maybe half their games where they're playing well and getting a good result. But then the other half of the games, they're not doing a good job. And I know it's obviously the manager ultimately will be held responsible, because it's easier to just get rid of a manager and replace one person than it is to completely kind of revamp a squad. Hell of a lot cheaper and easier, you know, just to get rid of the manager. But ultimately, I mean, as Matt said earlier, Conte is a very, very good manager. I mean, Tottenham, in fairness, got themselves an absolutely top quality manager. And so there's no doubt that, you know, he'll be doing everything he can on the training ground and working with the players. But once they cross the white line, they've got to go out and perform. Yeah, and I don't think this is on Conte. I think it's on the players. I mean, you know, if they can perform the way we've seen them in some of their better games, and some of the results they've had have been very good, and then they can go out the next week and lose 1-0 to Burnley, then there's something going on there, I think, that's within the players themselves when they're on the pitch that's just not right. The players are not performing consistently. And it's hard to say what Conte really is supposed to do to change that. I mean, I don't think this is a Conte problem. I think this is a player issue for me. You there's absolutely no way Tottenham should have gone to the Etihad and won 3-2 and then get turned over 1-0, at Turf Moor. I mean, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That's just a really poor performance from the players who should have been going out and winning that game probably relatively comfortably.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a Conte problem. And it's hard to know because we don't see what goes on behind the scenes, but it's hard to know really what he can do to change that. And he seems to be scratching his head about it too. So I think it's on the players. The players are just not performing as consistently as they should be.
Yep, like our beloved West Ham, which takes us perfectly on to our beloved West Ham. I think we've done enough talking of the Spuds, so let's jump on and talk about our beautiful West Ham. Now, we didn't do a press conference show this week because we've just had mega amount of shows coming back and forth, but no longer did we, win that game at home. The 12 hours later, David Moyes was in the press conference room giving his presser on the back of that fantastic victory over Sevilla. So let's go and see what the gaffer had to say. Right, so first up, I don't know if anyone did notice, but at the end of the game, Declan Rice was seen limping off the field. But I think we were all in this euphoria of excitement that, people didn't really think about it. And he was questioned on Declan Rice limping off the field. But he kind of reiterated by saying we have a few limping, but you expect that from a tough game. And we'll assess them all this morning and see how they are. It's a bit early to know a lot about the team. And to be fair, it is, but I think that, with his press conferences, Matt, we now know for a fact that it's smoke and mirrors. He's never going to give anything away. When you think back to the Antonio and Creswell situation, bang, they're both starting in the team and playing. But, Declan Rice is going to be all right for this game, and he's going to be well up for this one.
Yeah. Look, this is it's just aches and pains. That's all it is. They had a tough schedule. They were obviously out in Sevilla last week and then had to play Villa on Sunday and then out again on Thursday night, 120 minutes. So just aches and pains, sore limbs and sore muscles. And so a little bit of rest, ice bath, just and they'll be ready to go tomorrow. There's no injuries, I wouldn't think. It's just aches and pains that are to be expected. And they'll have been managed over the last couple of days. And, Declan said in his interview on BT Sport that he said his foot was killing him. It was just very sore. But that's all it was, just soreness. So I'm not worried. I believe we'll have our strongest team out again tomorrow.
Absolutely. I've already said that part. So he goes on and talks about Yarmolenko. He says he's been really important to us in the last two games. He scored 2 vital goals. There's no doubt in the quality he's got. We're pleased he's helping the team with the contributions he's making at this time. Matt, talk to me about Yarmolenko's recent involvement with the West Ham team.
I don't even know how he's doing it. Obviously, none of us can relate to the circumstances, but the fact that he's even managing to come into work and do what he's doing is unbelievable. On the pitch, he's always had the ability. He's probably technically one of the best players we've got, but he come in and played well when we first signed him, and that Achilles injury ruined him. I've said for a while that I think he's better coming off the bench. I think once the defenders are a little bit slower, a little bit more leggy, then that's when he seems to have his impact. And, the last 2 games, he's essentially come on for the last 20, 30 minutes. And he's done exactly that. Just the goal the other night was right place, right time. That's something you can't teach. You can't teach players to know where the ball's going to go. It's a natural instinct.
I actually noticed, Matt and Anton, I don't know if you did, but for his goal against Sevilla, Antonio was actually very close to him when Fornals hit the shot, and it was Yarmolenko whose instincts made him follow the shot in. Antonio was ball watching, but Yarmolenko had that forwards instinct to follow the shot in just in case keeper parried it, and he was there to tap it in, and that's really the difference for me. And it was the same with the goal he scored against Villa. He just has that natural kind of forwards instinct. I mean, that touch and finish against Villa was just sublime. And again, just had that instinct to follow in Fornell's shot just in case, whereas Antonio was kind of just rooted to the spot watching the shot come in.
And I think what that performance of the night in Yarmolenko has taught me again, I feel like as a West Ham fan, we all have been gone through up and down emotions, the roller coaster of emotions as a West Ham fan over our whole life and tenure of supporting the club. But what I'm doing under David Moyes is constantly, forming an opinion and changing it because he's forcing me to change it. So the example will be that for me, Yarmolenko was, I'm not saying he's not gone. I still think he probably will at some point in the near future go. But I think we all thought he would have been gone by now. And what Moyes is teaching me is that don't give up on this team. There's not a single player. How many players have we doubted in this team that have come back and had to prove the fan base completely wrong? And there's two players just straight away is Lanzini, for example. We all thought he was dead and buried and gone, his career, and never come back and do what he's doing, especially after his injury. And recently, I mean, Craig Dawson, another that's a signing that we underestimated that's come in and done a job. And now look at what Yarmolenko's doing over the last couple of games. Two vital games, and games that will go down in your history, like, the Sevilla goal, the winning goal that takes you through to the quarterfinals. Like, that's something that you don't forget for the rest of your life. Like, that's a huge moment. And he's now pivotal to that moment, Tommy.
Yeah, I think that Yarmolenko goal against Sevilla now will kind of be one of those iconic goals, like the Matchday goal.
Yeah,
that even years later, we can still keep seeing that Matchday goal popping up on our Twitter feed every once in a while. Someone will post it because it was just a great moment, and this will be the same. We'll be seeing this goal for years. But yeah, he doesn't score anything but vital goals, does he? So,
you're right.
Hopefully, he spring him from the bench tomorrow, might score a winner against Tottenham for us. He's that kind of player. But look, with Yarmolenko, it was never an ability issue. He's always been technically a very good player.
Just his legs.
It's just his legs. He's slow, hasn't got the legs. Like I said it in the preview when we were talking about the lineups, I said that I would not want to see Yarmolenko start because I just don't think he's effective playing from the start. He is a super sub, no question. He's coming on against tiring defenders in a game that's much slower than it is over the first kind of 60 or 70 minutes. It suits him to come on fresh when the game has slowed down. There's a little bit more time on the ball. Then he can be really effective. But I mean, look,
we can think. I mean, there's games to think about that Project Restart, Chelsea, Aston Villa, just to name a few of his performances that he stepped up. Really vital goals for West Ham as well. And as of late, obviously the Aston Villa. When I was talking about Aston Villa, I was talking about the one that saved West Ham from relegation, let alone the Aston Villa goal 2 weeks ago, and then the goal there as well. But like I said, it's about Moyes having the faith in this squad and utilising the squad to the full max, and that's what he's doing with players like Yarmolenko. And you make the most valid point there, Tommy, bringing him on at that moment when legs are tired and maybe giving him a more forward-thinking role as well, and maybe a free role to just like use your ability, use your skill set. Your skill set, you don't have the pace, so maybe stop thinking you've got the pace and just trust your ability, and your ability is worth pace because you can make a play.
Yeah, see, it definitely helps him as well if he's playing at number 9. More so than on the wing. He's okay out on the right hand side, but he's a number 9 really. At the end of the day, he's not a winger. He's a number 9. And when he's in the box, in and around the box, that's when he comes into his own because it suits his abilities. He's got a really great first touch. He's got those quick feet. He's got that bit of skill where he can make a yard of space, half a yard for himself really quickly with some clever thinking. He's very clever as well. And so it just suits him being in the box, in and around the box with the ball coming into him. And that's where he can really make things happen because he's got that technical ability and he is a finisher. So I think it really suits him to come on late in games as a centre forward. And he absolutely can be effective for us doing that. And he will cause problems for centre backs. There's no doubting it. And he has that eye for goal. He's a good finisher. So the last two games, those cameo appearances have been the perfect role for Yarmolenko at this stage of his career.
Absolutely. Moyes goes on and talks about the importance of the game versus Spurs. They're all important, whether it's a team at the bottom or the top. It's a derby for West Ham and Tottenham, so we know it'll be a difficult game. Where you finish in a league gets you a chance to qualify for Europe. It's your bread and butter as far as I'm concerned. Being in the cup competition adds to what we're trying to do and teaches us how to make strides forward. At the moment, we've got a big game coming up. It's a hard game, and we know we're going to be tested for the maximum. But let's move on. He's just the last point really is about the Europa League draw. Of course, we haven't spoke about it briefly, but he was asked about it. We've drew Lyon in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. He said they might all want to play West Ham because they see us as the novices in this competition. And I think if you're going to play us, you're in for a game. We always want to challenge the best teams and did so against Sevilla, and other two legs just about did it. Whoever we get, we're looking forward to it. We'll challenge anybody who comes along. After seeing London Stadium the way it was last night, it'd be good to have the second leg at home. However, we didn't get that second leg at home. And then lastly, Moyes and Ben Johnson's call up to the under-21s for England. So I'm really pleased for Ben. He is improving, young player. He deserves it. He's doing very well for us at the moment. Matt, talk to me about Ben Johnson, mate, and then we'll go on to building our starting 11.
Yeah, he does deserve it. I mean, it's probably... It's weird. He may be lucky in his time he's coming through because, a few years back, England were absolutely blessed with right backs. He probably wouldn't have got a look in. So coming through under 21s now, maybe a blessing for him, but he's been consistently good and reliable for a year, maybe more than that now. I can't remember if it was last year that he made his first team debut against Liverpool. That was the season before. His attacking output still needs developing. Sometimes he doesn't want to commit, doesn't go past, but that's because he's a very good defender. He's very good. He's a defending defender. He defends first and attacks second, rather than like a Fredericks who just bombs forward and wants to get in the box all the time. But he's reliable and he's diverse. He can play either side, which is a rare commodity these days as well. There's not many fullbacks, especially in the Premier League, that play either side. I think of Cancelo at Man City. Really established himself as like their left back as a right back with left footed. But there's not much I can really say without being, I don't know. Yeah. He's become he has earned that spot. We had that period, didn't we, when Stufal come back. He played there for a few games and he had a poor game. He got dropped. Fredericks played the next game. He got dropped. He was poor. And then Johnson's come in and, like I've said, even against that Aston Villa game last weekend, he struggled in the first half at right back, and then funnily enough looks more comfortable playing left back in the second half.
He was, Matt. Let me just interject you there and read this comment out from Fremer. I've been putting the comments up and I'm trying to pull out ones that we can kind of respond to at the time, and put this one there to you both. Fremer, thanks for joining us, mate, as well. I wouldn't call Johnson reliable. He's exciting though and showing great potential. I kind of am probably putting Johnson in the reliable aspect, and I'm defining him as a reliable fullback for West Ham. I don't doubt for a second he's got things he needs to learn. However, when you're a young player having to be playing on the right and then asked to be playing on the left and then back to the right again, as what Matt was just saying, you're going to pick up, little discrepancies in your game. But I do put him down as a reliable defender because I think he can get back and get forward, Tommy.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with the way he's phrased it. I'm not sure. I'd like him to elaborate a little bit on what he means by reliable. But yeah, certainly I'd consider him reliable. I mean, I had no qualms whatsoever about him starting against Sevilla in that second leg, or even in the away leg against Sevilla. 2 tough games, for a young fullback, still cutting his teeth. But I had complete faith in him, and I still do. And he'll start against Tottenham, I've no doubt, and I have complete faith in him that he'll do a job for us there too. So I would have trust in Johnson, especially defensively. We know he has some work to do going forward. He's got to improve his crossing, particularly, I think. But reliability is certainly not an issue I would have with him, I have to say. I think he's been fantastic. You have to remember his age too. And
got a lot to learn. Yeah, he's still got so much time to learn as well.
Yeah, and while he's still relatively inexperienced, he's also played a lot of games, and which will be, there's nothing better for a young player than to get a really long run of games where you're starting like every week. And he's getting that now, and he's coming on a ton. I mean, his confidence for his age, and how many caps he's got for West Ham. He must be just so full of confidence right now in himself and in the team. And it's great to see for such a young player. I think he's a tremendous young talent, and I am so happy with his progress and with the way he's performing. I thought he was fantastic against Sevilla on Thursday night.
Yeah,
didn't put a foot wrong. He's still a kid. He's in the England under-21 call-up. He's a kid still. But he's very talented, and he's clearly got a lot of self-confidence. He did not look out of place whatsoever against Sevilla, not for a second. I thought he did a tremendous job at right back in both legs. He was one of our better performers in that first leg, I thought, as well.
Absolutely. Right, before we move on then, I would like you all, if you are new to the channel, to go across and hit the subscribe button. There is a button, depending on what device you're watching it on. Hit that subscribe button. There's also a little bell notification. That bell notification will notify you when we do go live with shows. Now, we are going to move on to the time that I do enjoy the most, which is building our starting 11. So if you are watching, make sure you get your comments in just now with your starting 11. Try and build them up. Like I said, go with the goalkeepers, formation, defenders, midfielders. Would you rest anyone? Forwards, and would you start anyone new, fresh for it? So get your starting 11 in the chat just now. Right, so I do enjoy this part the most, actually, because it's so funny to watch and see how, even between the three of us, how we get it so wrong and different, and then the chat comes in and how everyone has many, many different opinions with it as well. Hornswazzler is saying Johnson, Kit, Martial, quiet. Where are we? Andrew is saying it's taken Johnson at least 4 seasons to establish himself into the first team. He's now look at the home in there, hard work and dedication, got a great future ahead of him. Johnson over Sofao. I have never seen Irish Tommy smile.
I do.
Sorry, sometimes I try my best to read them before I put them up.
Yeah, this has become a bit of a meme now, I think. Yeah, that I don't smile.
A bit of a thing. Right.
So I'm very serious about my West Ham. So.
Yeah, we know. Hornswazzler is saying, with Bowen out, I don't know why Moyes don't try Antonio back on the right with Yarma and Vlasic sharing the job up top. And then a little bit of the old inside info. DJ Russie B saying Okaflex and Chesters were taken off in yesterday's game at the 60-minute mark. We'll see. Right, get your starting 11 in the chat and we'll go through it just now. Areola, fantastic performance in the cup competition. But fair play, Fabianski, fantastic appearance in the Premier League. But I think there's only one goalkeeper that's staying as the Premier League goalkeeper, and that is Fabianski. Are we both and all agreeing on that?
Yeah, he's a shoe in to start tomorrow. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, no worries at all. Now, listen, traveling away to Spurs is never going to be any easy game. So, are we going to go with the same formation we put against Sevilla? Are we going to tactically go back and try and maybe put 5 in the defence? What formation are we thinking, lads?
I think Moyes will stick with the usual 4-2-3-1, personally.
Yep. Matt, do you agree?
Yeah, I think on the personnel, you can sort of change it anyway. So
Okay,
I think
cool.
he'll stick with that. And then, yeah.
So based upon that, we're going with Zuma and Dawson in the back two?
Yeah, the team almost picks itself. I mean, there's very little disagreement going to be on this 11, I would think. Back four
Right, okay.
picks itself.
So let's put Crazy there. Well,
Yeah.
It's true though. No, it is true. And we'll put Ben Johnson right in here. Now, for me, I thought Tommy Soucek was immense against Sevilla on Thursday night. He was back to his old. You know what? I'm not even going to say he was back to his old self. I think he was. I think he was extremely, not normal, and his normal performance, depends on what West Ham fan you speak to. For me, I think he's been different this year because he's not been getting further forward and scoring a lot of goals, but I think he's been doing the same amount of crazy work behind the scenes and letting Declan Rice push further forward, which has obviously had a bit of a kind of difference of an opinion between the fan base. But what I saw from Tommy Soucek was a bit of the old going forward, but he covered so much ground in the middle of that park, and we're going to need to have him and Declan Rice firing on all cylinders. But these guys have the biggest tanks in football, don't they?
Yeah, it's just almost inexhaustible. Both of them are just able to run and run and run and run. Our whole team, I think this is one of the major differences for me, and there's a lot of them, but this is one of the key ones for me from the difference between the Moyes era and the Pellegrini era. I thought under Pellegrini, our players were not fit at all. I mean, their conditioning was not right. It really wasn't. But they seem to be just in supreme condition now.
Well, that's
under Moyes. I remember, like there was quite a number of players for Sevilla who were going down with cramp. Towards the end of the 90 minutes and in extra time. And I think the only West Ham player that ever went down briefly with a bit of cramp was Cresswell. But their players were going down all the time, getting cramped up, and our players weren't. I mean, it looked like our players could have gone another half hour, if they needed to, no problem.
Yeah.
So their conditioning is a credit to Moyes. They're just supremely fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, I mean, I think we've seen players speak out about the ability. They've never slagged off what Pellegrini has done. However, the hints have been, the first thing that Moyes did come in and say. If you've watched the Declan Rice interview, for example, with Gary Neville, he says that the minute Moyes came in, he went, "Lads, you's hardly running a game. He's hardly running a game," and he's changed all that mindset. What is it, Matt?
It was well documented, wasn't it? Like through leaks and whatever. That wasn't it a rumor that Zabaleta used to run training after Pellegrini left because the lads would be like, "We haven't finished." Like Pellegrini, like, "Yeah, training's done for the day," and they'll be like, "Hang on a minute, we've only done like an hour's training." Like, but even at the end of his tenure, even the players knew that we weren't running up, and we, like Tommy said, we could all see it.
Yeah,
we all knew. Like we didn't do any running, but we were the team that was knackered after like an hour, and we barely moved. Whereas now, like you said, Moyes is, and like I said, when he came in the first time, he said, didn't he? He was like, "If you don't run, you're not playing." And it looks like he's brought that back in, the mentality the second time. But also, it's not just the fact that he's brought it in. It looks like everyone's adopted into it. Because I know when Soucek first came in, he was getting the rave reviews for the amount of ground that he covers. When we first signed him up, and he was like highest average runner. He'd only been there half a season. But like you said, now if you think about the amount of ground that Cresswell covers, Johnson, Rice, Fornals. Fornals always plays about 3 positions in one most games.
Yeah,
and he's sort of playing like left wing, left back, and left centre forward.
Yeah, and another thing that's actually really noticeable is since Moyes came in, we haven't had any more injury crisis. I remember constantly under Pellegrini,
Yeah,
we'd
we
have
did, yeah.
we'd have 8, 9, 10 players out
Yeah.
with injuries, and we were wondering if there was something wrong with the training pitch, with the ground.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're saying maybe it needs to be ripped up and relayed or something because players are dropping like flies. We just don't get that either anymore. We never have 8, 9, 10 players out.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. Let's move into the rest of the team then. Obviously, we know the news about Jared Bowen. So if anyone doesn't know, the worst unkept secret, but Moyes is hoping that he'll be back after the Easter break. So after the Spurs game, I think we are not playing. Is it for
2 weeks?
2 weeks? Yeah. So it gives the chance for the team to recuperate and try and come back on form. So Bowen,
I feel sorry for him though.
Yeah.
I think Southgate actually admitted that had Bowen not been injured, he would have been called up.
Yeah.
Like this was going to be his chance to the England team.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, like 10 days out, he gets injured.
Typical.
Tommy, I want to talk to you about Antonio before we kind of go on to the rest of the team. What a performance against Sevilla the other night. And he loves playing against Spurs, doesn't he?
Yeah, I actually tweeted about this earlier. I said it's been a while since he scored a Premier League goal. He'll probably beg a brace now tomorrow against Tottenham. He loves scoring against them. So I'm expecting Antonio to score tomorrow at least once. I think he always scores against them. He's like Glenn Murray to us, or Lukaku when he was at Everton. They just always bloody score against us. So I think he's that for Tottenham. So I'm expecting Mick to find the net tomorrow, finally, in the Premier League.
Russ
he's always a thorn in their side.
Yeah. Russ has said something there about playing Ben Johnson at left back, and Mandy's kind of alluded to the fact that do we think we should rest Creswell in the left back position? But taking into consideration what Moyes has said in the press conference and literally what he does game in and game out and week in and week out is he doesn't tend to do that. He puts his strongest 11 out because he wants momentum, he wants consistency, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It's not just that.
Cresswell get plenty of rest after this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not an international player, is he? So
yeah.
No.
Yeah. And if you've got Fredericks on the bench, if Creswell does pull up with cramp after an hour, then this is where I said he's reliable. Like I would generally have no issues or worries whatsoever of playing Creswell for like an hour and then go in Johnson when he just goes left back now because Creswell's tired. I mean, Fredericks play right back for half an hour.
Yeah.
Like and the thing is, there's no other right back in the team that I would feel comfortable doing that. I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable even with Creswell going to left back. But Johnson, I had no problem saying, yeah, you've got to go play left back for half an hour.
Yeah. Sorry, if anyone just saw, I got the fucking fright of my life there because the back door, something hit the back door. I've got a security light, never came on, and I shat myself. Literally, I was like, fucking Jesus, holy shit. Sorry, and now I'm shitting myself. I'm like, what's out there? I can hear the wind. Honestly, I just completely shat myself. But anyway, let's move on from that. I think so. Right, we've got Antonio up top. We've got 3 more positions to put in. I mean, Lanzini, like you said, Tommy, the team probably pretty much picks itself just now. So Lanzini in the hole, happy with that?
Yeah, 100%. He'll play at number 10. His return
deserves a shout out. Like, I remember even on here, even at the start of the season, plenty of us were saying like he was done. He just didn't work out anymore. He's a bit part player, and since maybe October, November time, Moyes started playing him in this sort of more central role again, and now he's like one of the guaranteed names on the team sheet now.
Yeah,
I would say out of that 3 behind the centre forward, with Bowen out injured, I would say the only guaranteed name for me at the moment would be Lanzini.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking at the start of the show about the game Thursday night, I had intended to actually mention Lanzini particularly. I think he's just imperious. He's just such a brilliant footballer, and another great performance on Thursday night. I mean, he's just brilliant. Every time he's on the ball, he just does the right thing. He doesn't lose it.
And you're right, Tommy. When you think about that, that through ball from Lanzini to Fornals in the first half, literally from absolutely nothing, he chips the ball forward with the most finesse, and it lands right on Fornals for the volley. I mean, if it wasn't for that
Yeah.
Sevilla defender, I think the shot was going on target, would have caused them real concern. But
He's
created something from nothing, and his ability to drop his shoulder and convince you that the player's going one, he drops it and goes the other way.
Yeah, he's just a sublime footballer. And you remember when you were asking who would be the danger man that Sevilla would have to watch out for? I said Lanzini, because he has that ability to just pick out a pass and just open a defense with one ball. And he's just a sublime footballer, and I just love watching him play. And FC, I mean, that tackle he made, when he's already on the yellow and he has, that tackle had to be absolutely spot on. And, the way he tracked back, I mean, he was running an absolute full tilt to get back and make that challenge. And just shows the attitude by him is amazing as well. And he executed the challenge to absolute perfection.
He had to. And do you know what? You're right, mate. And I don't think many fans have given him too much plaudits for that, because in actual fact, we've actually picked up on his tackle he made when he got booked, which was a silly tackle. But what made up for that was the tackle, because if he didn't get that, it was 1-on-1 with the keeper. It was 1-on-1 with the keeper, and that could have changed the whole dynamics of the game. It would have changed the whole dynamics of the game. And so you're right, two massive moments that not really many people speak about, but they definitely speak about the Areola save more than the Lanzini tackle. You've brought it up, and it's the right thing to do.
But this is what I was going to say is that I'll say not only is it the attacking that we've all been talking about, but was it last week or the week before? It might have been the Seville away game when Lanzini had more tackles, interceptions than anyone else in the midfield. Might have been the Villa game. Moyes has yet again managed to develop and change this solely all-out attacking player into a team player. Moyes is now doing Lanzini. Lanzini, like I said, he is now doing the tracking back. And it was interesting in the Seville game that Lanzini essentially set deeper to allow Souček to go up the pitch. But his tackling, his work rate, like I said, the running he's putting in has made him one of the names on the team sheet, because it's almost now not like he's playing number 10. It's like they're playing as a flat midfield three.
Yeah.
And Lanzini and Souček between them are now taking it in terms of push forward.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of like a theme that's running like throughout the team with all the players, that they just seem to be really, really enjoying their football. They're having a good time, and you could see how much they were buzzing at the final whistle Thursday night. I mean, what a feeling that must be for them, to have a night like that after all the hard work they've put in, through those 38 Premier League games last season and what they've been doing this season, Premier League, keeping themselves top six. For them to have a night like that, I'm so delighted just for the players and for David Moyes, because they deserve that.
Yep, absolutely. Right now, like it says there, coming up next is your predictions. So we've done our starting 11. We're going with a unchanged 11 from the Sevilla side, and I think that's rightly so. But it depends on if there's anyone that's taken a knock. We'll probably know the usual suspects will come in and take over the position. So if you are watching, get your predictions in for the game tomorrow afternoon against Spurs away to Tottenham Hotspur. Right, gets that interesting time. Matt, what is your predictions, mate, for the game tomorrow? West Ham travel to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, playing Spurs. What are we going to do?
You know what? I probably get slated for saying this, but I will happily take a draw tomorrow. I'll go for a 1-1.
Matt. I'm only joking, mate. You're allowed to do it. That's fine. And I get it.
We're going to be very leggy. And the fact that Tottenham's still behind us, we don't need to win the game tomorrow. We just don't need to lose.
Yeah.
They need to win. They're still behind us, and their game in hand is against Arsenal, which, the way Arsenal playing at the moment, isn't really a game in hand. That's almost like a loss, like before you've played. So as long as we don't lose, it's a good result for us. And having played 120 minutes on Thursday with, I think, like 9 of the outfield players pretty much played about over 110 minutes. I think it was only after we scored in like the 112th minute that Moyes started making more subs other than Yarmolenko.
Making more subs, unlike Sevilla, who made about 25 subs in that game. It felt like,
well, they took the full advantage, didn't they? They took because you get the 5 subs in all time and the one next time. They made the 6 subs.
Yeah.
I think we only made 4 subs, and 3 of them were after. He brought a Noble straight away, and then a little while after that, Fredericks, and then Diop.
Yeah.
So, but most of them played 113 minutes.
Yeah, well, I think that was fair enough. I mean, we were playing so well, we were on top. He didn't want to mess with it. But Sevilla, Letapegu, whatever his freaking name is, he had to do something. He had to start chucking people on, and I think he made a big error actually not playing Munir ahead of Martial. Munir caused us untold problems in the first leg, but yeah, he had to try and he had to bring on legs. He had to do something because they were being dominated.
Tommy, predictions? Matt's gone for a 1-0.
Yeah, don't blame Matt. That is entirely possible. Again, with Tottenham, it's hard to know what Tottenham's going to turn up. They could be fantastic tomorrow, or they could be turgid. You just never know with Tottenham, or they could be fantastic in one half and turgid in the other half. Also, I think Matt says as well, a lot of our players did play 120 minutes on Thursday night, and you could see they were very sore coming off. And so I don't think that'll affect us in the first half, but that after an hour, 65 minutes, that could really start catching up with us. So it's one of those games that's very difficult to call because literally anything could happen. Would I be shocked if Tottenham beat us 3-0? No. We could go out and just be flat and just not be at it. But although I don't expect that, funnily enough, I'd be a bit more worried about being flat if we were, playing a team towards the bottom of the table that are not in great form. But I think the fact that it's a big London derby against Tottenham, I think the players won't be complacent. I think they'll still really be up for this. So I think mentally we'll be fine. And I think our performance, at least in the first half, should be a good one because very high in confidence right now. Buzzing after that win Thursday night. The only worry I have is those kind of last 20 minutes. Maybe we might really start flagging. But overall, I have to say, I'm still relatively confident. I think we'll get something from the game. I am inclined towards the draw like Matt, but I just think, I don't know, this group of players, man, there's just something about the spirit in this squad. It is special. And we keep waiting for them to go flat and to be, run out of steam or something because they have to play so many games and we don't really rotate the squad because we can't. And we keep fearing the worst, that it's going to catch up with them, but they just keep going and going and going. And the spirit in that camp is unbelievable, and they really pull for each other and they work hard and they'll run themselves into the ground for the manager. And I think they'll do that again tomorrow. And I'm positive again. I just think we have the wind behind us. I think the wind's at our backs at the moment, kind of, and it just feels that way. So I think we'll beat them 2-1.
2-1. A 1-0 from Matt, 2-1 from Tommy. I'm going to go for a 1-0 West Ham victory. But I mean, I'm saying, I give crazy predictions sometimes, 3-2, 3-0s here, there, and everywhere. Matt's face can back that up 100%. But I'm just a confident West Ham fan, and that's what David Moyes has done to me. And I feel like I agree with you, Tommy. The game could go either way. It really could. Every game could go either way. But this game in particular, London Derby, add the London Derby aspect to it. We may see a little bit of Mark Noble closer to the end of the game as well, depending on the result. And we all know what he likes to do in a London Derby. But I will go for a 1-0 win. Now it's time for us to move into the chat and go through all your predictions. Vinay saying 2-0 West Ham, 4-0 in Yarmolenko. Mark Alexander saying a Desmond. Chris Biggs Montana, 1-0 West Ham. Well, Desmond again. Andrew, 3-1 West Ham. Antonio Benrahma, could you imagine? Mandy G, Vlasic to score 1-0. Epic hash time, 10-0. Love that, mate. I'm so glad.
The wrong way around.
Oh, it's true.
It'll be
Wrong way
0-10.
round, yeah.
It'll be
Okay, I
0-10,
got that
bud.
one,
Sorry.
San Martingale is saying 1 each. Hornswogler is saying 2-0 to West Ham. Mice Collective is saying 3-1 to West Ham. Dawson, Yarmolenko, and Declan. I love these guys. Yarmolenko. Sorry. Your countdown, Mikey. Hope you're well. Hey, if you can beat Seville, we'll get these guys as well. 4-1 win. Cheers, Mikey, mate. Kimball, 2-1 West Ham. Antonio and Dawson. P. Gads, 3-2. Antonio, Dawson, and Yarma. Black Country Hammer going 3-2 West Ham win. 2-1 Hammers. James Bong saying 3-0 West Ham. Pray for us. We're going to watch Socceroos play Japan on Thursday. Must win game. I think it's been hard as West Ham supporter, but it's nothing compared to pain following the Socceroos. WHU58 says Spurs 2, West Ham 3. I say 1 each. That's very true, mate. Like, many have lost everything. I don't know. Sorry, I haven't caught up with what you are kind of talking about here. My God, I'm trying to find it. 2-2, Desmond. Another point away from relegation. GSB and Moyes are our saviours. Gavin is saying Spurs defence is suspect.
I think we've passed that now, aren't we?
Yeah, could be a 3-2 game. Anil saying, Mark, relegation, we're on 48 points. What planet you on? Aaron saying 2-1 West Ham. GP says Desmond, Suchek to score, and Anton to lose his pie. Yeah, if that happens, I would lose my pie, literally. James is saying he's obsessed with you in Cheltenham Gold Cup. Irish Tommy doesn't look like the guy who just won the Cheltenham Cup the day after West Ham beat Seville on Paddy's Day, the day before we space plus 3-0 West Ham. Alan is saying Spurs are there for the taking. Play like we did Thursday and we'll do them by the odd goal. That brings an end to our match day build-up show. Last couple of questions to go, and that is, Tommy, what Tottenham player do you fear the most?
I know the easy answer is to say Kane, because I know he's in a little vein of form right now. He's scoring some goals, but I always worry about Son. I think Son is just one of those players that's just capable of doing something special at any moment. You know, he can pick the ball up in his own half and go on a mazy run, skin 3 players. The next thing he's on the edge of your box, either popping a pass off to someone for a shot or taking on a shot himself. When Son is really at it, he's very hard to stop. He's a tremendous player. He's a player I would love to have Son at West Ham. He's one of my favourite players to watch in the Premier League when he's on form. Just a brilliant footballer. And, if he's really at it tomorrow, he will cause us untold problems.
Yep. Matt?
I'm going to go with the opposite flag and go Kulusevski. Up against the potentially leggy Creswell. He's had an up and down start to his Premier League career, but much like Spurs, if he turns up, he's got a phenomenal range of passing and he could cause us problems down that right hand side.
Yep, absolutely. Who is the West Ham player? Who's the West Ham player they should fear the most, Tommy?
Antonio is going to bully Dyer. I think he'll pull onto Dyer. I think he'll try and bully him. And Antonio always scores against him. He had a really great game, I thought, against Sevilla overall, even though he still did some of his usual very frustrating things. Particularly his touch sometimes is really poor. He can be in good positions. He was a number of times in really good situations against Sevilla and he mucked it up. But overall had a really great game and caused them a lot of problems. And he tends to score every game against Spurs, and I predict he'll score tomorrow. So I think potentially Antonio could bag himself a couple of goals tomorrow because he just tends to do that against Spurs. He looks like he's got his mojo back a bit. And he'll be up for this too. He'll enjoy tomorrow, I think. I think he will pull on to Dyer. And he'll feel like he can do a job on him, who's not the best defender in the world. So I think Antonio is going to cause them real problems.
Absolutely. Matt?
He's nicked Antonio, so I'm going to go with the other guy that loves scoring against Tottenham. I'm going to go Lanzini.
Yeah, I was going to say he's my man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, who can?
London Derby specialist, isn't he?
He is, yeah. But I mean,
he
loves scoring against Tottenham, but no one will ever forget that phenomenal goal, will they? I mean, that was outrageous. And you mentioned
what year was it? Remember, we were at White Hart Lane, when he was put through, and he just played this absolutely beautiful little dink as the keeper came out, the keeper went to ground and he just a beautiful little dink over him.
Was that
I
last
can't
season
remember.
at Upton Park?
Might have been. It was just
Season
a
with Payet.
beautiful, deft finish
I
from
remember.
Lanzini. It was a
Yeah.
fantastic goal. Someone in the comments will know exactly when that was.
Yep, absolutely. But listen, to everyone that's watching, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification if you're interested in, knowing when we're doing the shows. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can. Got really cool things happening. There's conversations behind the scenes about what's going on moving forward. All good stuff, though. Don't worry, nothing negative. All good stuff. So keep your eyes on more updates as we keep on moving forward. Tommy, Matt, thank you for joining us all, and everyone in the chat, thank you for contributing as well. We will be, as it stands, having a Matchday Live tomorrow, so bear with us. Matt, are you around for the Matchday Live? Yeah, Tommy, are you around to guest appear if you want? If it's up to you, mate. I'll let you know. I'll talk to you after that or anything.
Yeah, I should be back home and Kerry in time for that. Yeah.
Excellent. So make sure you do join us tomorrow. But to know when we go live, I can't give you the exact time, but to know when we go live, if you hit the bell notification, then you'll get notified when the show does come on. Anyway, as we always do, we like to say thank you to a mixture of our members and our sponsors. So please take it easy, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. And come on, you Irons. Come on, you Irons. There's Tommy. Look, before we go, Tommy, the big smile, the big Irish Tommy smile. Come on, you Irons.
It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should separate,